She had nowhere to go until a cowboy whispered, "Your journey ends with me." She had a small rented apartment, a steady job at a local store, and a routine that gave her days some meaning. She was not rich, not famous, but she was independent. She paid her bills on time, made simple meals, and believed that if she worked hard, life would stay stable. That belief slowly broke. It started with small problems. The store where she worked began losing customers. Hours were cut and promises of improvement were made again and again. Emily tried to stay hopeful, but hope does not pay rent. When the store finally closed, she told herself it was only temporary. She searched for work every day, walking from place to place, filling out forms, smiling even when she felt tired. Weeks passed, then months. Savings disappeared faster than she expected. When the landlord knocked on her door with a serious face, Emily already knew what was coming. She packed her things quietly, choosing what mattered and leaving behind what she could not carry. There was no dramatic scene, no shouting, just silence and a deep feeling of failure she could not explain. At first, she stayed with a friend. Emily tried to make herself useful, cleaning, cooking, staying out of the way. But everyone has limits and she could feel she was becoming a burden. She left before anyone had to ask her to go. She thanked her friend, smiled, and pretended she had another plan. She didn't. From that point on, Emily's life became a series of short stays and long walks. Some nights she slept on buses, some nights in places where she didn't fully rest. She learned how to stay alert even while tired. She learned which places were safer and which ones to avoid. She learned to keep her bag close and her expectations low. What hurt the most was not hunger or cold, but how invisible she felt. People passed her every day without looking. Conversations happened around her, not with her. She stopped trying to explain herself because she realized most people were not really listening. Still, Emily refused to see herself as broken. Every morning she told herself she just needed one opportunity, one kind person, one job, one place to pause. That belief kept her walking. She moved from town to town, following roads that seemed to lead somewhere better. Sometimes she found short work, cleaning, helping, doing anything offered, but nothing lasted. Each time she thought she had found stability, it slipped away again. One evening, after a long day of walking, Emily reached a small rural town just as the sun began to set. The place was quiet, almost empty. A single bus stop stood near the road, but the schedule posted there crushed her last bit of hope. The final bus had already left. The next one would not arrive until morning. She sat on the bench, holding her bag tightly, watching the sky grow darker. The air turned colder, and a strong wind moved across the open land. There were no hotels she could afford, no familiar faces, no place to rest safely. Fear crept in slowly, not all at once, but enough to make her chest feel tight. Emily considered staying at the bus stop overnight, but something about the emptiness around her made her uneasy. She decided to walk instead, believing movement was better than standing still. She followed the road out of town, her footsteps the only sound she could hear. As the light faded, memories came back to her, small moments from her past life. Making tea in her apartment, laughing at something silly on television, sitting on her bed at the end of a long workday, tired but content. Those memories felt like they belonged to another person now. Her legs ached and her shoulders hurt from carrying the bag, but she kept going. Stopping meant thinking, and thinking meant feeling the full weight of how alone she was. The road stretched ahead, long and empty. Fields lay on both sides, dark and quiet. The sky above was wide, filled with stars that felt too distant to offer comfort. Emily wrapped her arms around herself and wondered how her life had reached this point without her fully noticing. She told herself she would walk just a little farther, then decide what to do. Just a little farther became another mile. That was when she heard it. At first, it was faint, a steady rhythm that didn't belong to the wind or her own footsteps. She stopped walking and listened. The sound grew clearer, hooves, slow and calm, approaching from behind. Her heart began to race. Emily turned around, unsure whether to feel relief or fear. In the dim light, she saw the outline of a horse and a rider moving toward her at an easy pace. The sight felt unreal, like something from a different time. She stood still, unsure what to do. Running would make her look afraid. Staying felt risky. The rider slowed down when he noticed her and stopped at a respectful distance. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Emily looked at the man carefully. He wore simple clothes, worn but clean, and sat comfortably on the horse, as if this road was part of his daily life. His face was calm, his posture relaxed. There was nothing threatening in the way he looked at her, only concern. "Are you all right?" he asked gently. The question almost broke her. It had been so long since anyone had asked her that without judgment or curiosity. Her voice felt weak when she answered, "I missed the bus." He didn't question her story, he simply listened. He introduced himself as Jack and told her his ranch was not far. He said the road wasn't safe to walk at night and that she could rest for a while if she wanted. There was no pressure in his words, no demand, just an offer. Emily hesitated. Trust had cost her before, but she was tired, tired in a way sleep alone could not fix. The cold air, the empty road, and the kindness in a stranger's voice slowly pushed her fear aside. She nodded. As she walked beside the horse, she felt something unfamiliar, relief. Not because her problems were solved, but because, for the first time in a long while, she didn't feel completely alone on the road. She didn't know it yet, but this moment, this quiet meeting under the dark sky, was the end of one journey and the beginning of another. Jack did not rush Emily. He guided his horse slowly so she could walk beside him without struggling. The road felt less frightening now, even though it was still dark and quiet. The sound of the horse's steady steps gave the night a calm rhythm. Emily kept glancing at Jack, trying to understand why a stranger would stop for someone like her without asking anything in return. They walked for several minutes before Jack spoke again. He asked simple questions, the kind that did not demand long answers. He asked if she was cold. He asked if she had eaten. Each question showed care, not curiosity. Emily answered honestly, surprised by how easy it felt to speak. Jack handed her a small bottle of water from his bag. She thanked him and drank slowly, feeling her body relax just a little. The tight feeling in her chest eased as the road continued behind them. She realized she had been holding her breath for much of the evening, expecting something bad to happen. As they moved farther from town, the lights disappeared completely. Only the moon and stars guided them now. Emily wondered what kind of life Jack lived, riding alone at night without fear. She imagined he must be used to silence, to wide open spaces, to trusting the land around him. After a while, Jack said quietly, "You don't have to explain anything tonight." His voice was low but clear. "Rest comes first, talking can wait." As they came closer, she saw the outline of a ranch house, modest but well cared for. A barn stood nearby, and fences stretched across the land like quiet guards. Everything looked calm and still, as if the place was waiting. Jack helped her inside the house without making a big deal of it. He showed her a chair, set a blanket over her shoulders, and placed a warm cup in her hands. Emily did not even remember drinking it. The warmth spread through her and her body responded immediately, heavy with exhaustion. Jack kept his distance, giving her space. He moved quietly around the room, preparing a small meal. The smell alone made Emily realize how hungry she truly was. When he placed the food in front of her, she hesitated, unsure if she should accept so much kindness. "Eat," he said gently. "You can rest after." She had learned not to expect comfort, and yet here it was, offered without condition. "Thank you," she whispered. Jack nodded. "Your journey ends here tonight," he said softly, as if speaking to himself as much as to her. Emily lay down and slept almost immediately. When she woke up the next morning, sunlight filled the room. For a moment, she forgot where she was. Panic tried to rise, but then she remembered the ranch, the cowboy, the kindness. Her body felt sore but rested, something she had not felt in a long time. She stepped outside slowly. The air was fresh and the land stretched wide and open. Jack was already working, fixing a fence. He noticed her and gave a small smile, nothing more. Breakfast was simple, but it felt rich to Emily. They ate together in quiet comfort. Afterward, Emily insisted on helping with chores. Jack hesitated but agreed. He showed her small tasks she could manage without strain. As the day passed, Emily felt something shift inside her. Working with her hands, feeling useful, brought back a sense of dignity she thought she had lost. Jack did not watch her closely or correct her harshly. He trusted her to do what she could. That evening they sat outside as the sun set. The sky turned warm colors and the land glowed softly. Emily found herself speaking without planning to. She shared parts of her story, not everything, but enough. Jack listened, his attention steady and respectful. He shared a little too. He spoke of choosing a quiet life after learning that noise and crowds did not bring peace. He did not speak of regret, only of acceptance. As night settled again, Emily realized she was not thinking about where she would go next. For the first time in a long while, the road did not call to her. She felt safe enough to stay still. She did not know how long this pause would last. She did not know what tomorrow would bring, but she knew this moment mattered. Someone had seen her, heard her, and offered kindness without asking for anything back. And sometimes that is enough to change the direction of a life. Morning on the ranch arrived quietly. There were no loud sounds, no rushing people, no pressure to be somewhere at a certain time. Emily woke up to the soft light coming through the window and the distant sounds of animals starting their day. For a moment she lay still, listening. It felt strange to wake up without fear, without the immediate need to plan her next move. She slowly sat up and looked around the room. Everything was simple and clean. Nothing felt temporary. That alone brought a calm she was not used to. She got dressed and stepped outside, unsure of what the day would bring but ready to face it. Jack was already awake, as always. He greeted her with a small nod and handed her a mug of warm drink. There was no awkwardness, no forced conversation. He treated her like someone who belonged there, not like a visitor who might disappear at any moment. That small detail mattered more than he probably knew. Over the next few days, Emily settled into the rhythm of the ranch. Jack showed her how things worked, but he never spoke down to her. He explained tasks patiently, allowing her to learn at her own pace. Some jobs were easy, like helping prepare meals or organizing supplies. Others required more effort, like cleaning the barn or walking the land to check fences. Emily did what she could, resting when her body told her to. At first, she felt guilty for staying. Years of moving had taught her that nothing was free, and kindness always came with a price. She waited for the moment Jack would ask something from her or tell her it was time to leave. That moment never came. Instead, Jack respected her space. He did not ask about her past unless she chose to share. He did not make promises about the future. He focused on the present, on the work that needed to be done, and on doing it well. That steady approach made Emily feel safe. As days turned into weeks, Emily began to change in small ways. She slept through the night without waking up afraid. Her appetite returned. She laughed once while working and surprised herself with the sound. Her shoulders relaxed. The constant tension she had carried for so long slowly faded. She noticed changes in her thoughts too. She stopped counting miles and hours. She stopped scanning every new place for danger. Instead, she started thinking about simple things, like how the sky looked in the morning or how quiet evenings felt when the work was done. One afternoon, while sitting on the porch after a long day, Emily asked Jack why he had stopped for her that night. The question had been in her mind for a while. Jack thought for a moment before answering. He said he had seen that look before, the look of someone who had been strong for too long without rest. He said he remembered what it felt like to be alone on a road with no clear direction. He did not explain further, and Emily did not push. The answer was enough. That evening, Jack shared a little more about his own life. He spoke about losing people he cared about and learning that silence could be healing if you let it. He explained that the ranch was not just a job for him but a place where he found balance. Emily listened closely, feeling a quiet connection grow between them. They did not speak of emotions in big words. They did not make promises or plans. Their bond formed through shared work, shared meals, and shared silence. That kind of connection felt real to Emily, stronger than anything built on fast words. Emily began to take on more responsibility as her strength returned. Jack trusted her to manage small tasks on her own. That trust rebuilt something inside her she thought was gone. She felt capable again, useful, present. One day, Jack mentioned a small town not far from the ranch. He said there were job opportunities there and that Emily could go if she wanted. The words surprised her. She had assumed staying meant being stuck, but Jack was offering her choice, not direction. Emily spent that night thinking. She realized how different she felt from the person who had walked that road weeks ago. Back then, every step had been driven by fear. Now she was standing still by choice. She walked outside and looked at the stars, the same stars that had once felt distant and cold. Now they felt familiar. She understood that healing did not happen all at once. It came in moments like these, quiet and steady. The next morning, Emily told Jack she wanted to stay a little longer. Jack nodded as if he had expected that answer. There was no celebration, no pressure, just acceptance. Emily knew the road had shaped her, but it no longer defined her. She was learning that staying could be as brave as leaving. And in that learning, she found a strength that felt deeper than survival. Her journey was not over, but it had changed direction. And for the first time, that change felt right. Time moved gently on the ranch, not fast and not slow, just steady. Emily stopped counting days because each one felt useful in its own way. She no longer woke up wondering where she would sleep at night. Instead, she woke with small plans in her mind, things that needed doing, things she wanted to improve, things she was slowly learning to care about again. Her body grew stronger with work. Her hands showed signs of effort, but she felt proud of them. Each task completed gave her a quiet sense of achievement. She had not felt that feeling in a long time. It reminded her that she was capable, that her life was not finished, only reshaped. Jack remained the same, calm, steady, and respectful. He never acted like a hero and never treated Emily like someone who needed saving. That balance mattered to her. It allowed her to grow without feeling small. Their conversations became easier, deeper in simple ways. Sometimes they talked about the past. Other times they spoke only about the weather, the land, or the animals. Silence between them was never uncomfortable. One afternoon, a letter arrived from the nearby town. It was an offer for short-term work, something Emily had applied for earlier without much hope. She held the paper in her hands for a long time. The opportunity was real. It was a chance to earn her own money again, to take a step back into the wider world. That night she could not sleep. Her thoughts moved in circles. Part of her felt excited. Another part felt afraid. She worried that leaving, even for work, might undo the peace she had found. She worried about losing this place, this sense of belonging that had quietly grown around her. The next morning, Emily showed the letter to Jack. He read it slowly, then handed it back to her. He told her it was a good opportunity. He said she should go if she wanted to. His voice held no sadness, no pressure, just support. That made the choice harder and easier at the same time. Emily decided to take the work. She told herself it was not an ending, just a step. She packed a small bag, much lighter than the one she once carried on the road. Before leaving, she stood outside the ranch house, taking in the wide land, the quiet strength of the place. It felt like home, even if she did not fully understand why. Working in town was different. It was busy, loud, and filled with people again. At first, Emily felt overwhelmed. But she remembered what she had learned on the ranch: patience, steadiness, trust in herself. She focused on one task at a time. Slowly, her confidence returned. At the end of each day, she returned to the ranch. Each return felt like relief. The road no longer felt endless. It had a beginning and an end now. Weeks passed. The short-term work became steady. Emily saved money, planned carefully, and rebuilt her independence. She realized she no longer needed to run. She could choose. One evening, after a long day, Emily sat with Jack watching the sunset. The sky glowed with warm colors and the land felt peaceful. She told him she had been thinking about the future. She said she wanted to build something stable, something honest. Jack listened, as always. When she finished, he spoke softly. He said the ranch would always be open to her whether she stayed or moved on. He said home was not a place you were trapped in. It was a place you were welcomed back to. Those words stayed with her. Emily chose to stay close. She did not give up her work, but she did not leave the ranch either. She found balance between independence and connection. She helped improve the place, added small touches that made it feel shared. Jack noticed, but he never commented. He simply allowed it to happen. Over time, people in the nearby town came to know Emily differently, not as someone passing through, but as someone who belonged. She made friends, built routines, and trusted herself again. One quiet evening, Emily walked alone across the land, the same kind of road she once feared. But now she walked without worry. She understood that her journey had not ended because someone stopped her. It ended because she found peace, and peace allowed her to stop running. She looked back toward the ranch and smiled. She had once had nowhere to go. Now she had a place to return to, a life to continue, and a future shaped by choice, not fear. And that made all the difference.